Your lease is up in a few months. Your landlord wants you out, despite the fact that you've been a fabulous tenant, of course, and you're taking this as your nudge from above that it's time to stop paying your landlord's mortgage payment and start paying yours. But is it too early or too late to start looking? Give me just a few minutes and I'll walk you through the typical timeline for buying a home. And if you'd like a copy of my buyer's guide, comment buyer below and I'll get it over to you. I'm Stella Tootin, and I know about life in Charleston, and that includes buying a house here. A lot's changed in the years since I closed on my home, and Lord, if I told you what all those things were, you would be like, how old exactly is that lady? But the good news is that I have sold real estate for so many years that we don't have to rely on that old, outdated experience. I've got plenty of up-to-date stuff I can share. So, how about, when's the right time to start looking for a house? Well, there are a lot of steps in buying a house, and so when we think about buying, we kind of need to think backwards to get to your start date. You need to think about what date do you need to be safely ensconced in a home with a roof over your head. So, for the sake of this, let's say your lease is up on December 31st. It's one heck of a move date. It's a terrible date. Good luck getting a moving company or any of your buddies to help you out. They've all already got plans. But let's just say that's your day. That means that you need to be out of your house by December 31st at the latest. Probably more like the 30th, because you need to get somebody in there to clean it so the landlord will give you your deposit back. And that means you need to close on your new house on either the 29th or the 30th of December, which luckily for this year falls in the middle of the week. You cannot close on a property on the weekend or on a holiday because the banks are not open. So knowing that date and those holidays is very important. From the moment you go under contract to the day you close, a typical loan and getting a clear title can take anywhere from 14 to 45 days or 2 to 6 weeks. If this is your first home, I go ahead and bank on the longer end of that range. And if you're in the middle of all those holidays, like in this instance, we're talking about Thanksgiving and Hanukkah and Christmas, I'd even build in just a little bit more time because people tend to be out of the office a lot during those times, and it might take a little bit longer for your loan to get through the process. The lender is going to use those weeks to comb through a lot of things and make sure that you are a good candidate for the loan. And you are going to have to provide them with answers to a lot of questions and a lot of documentation. At the same time, the closing attorney will be putting together their part of the package, making sure the property has a clear title and all liens and fees have been paid off. There is a lot going on behind the scenes, and in the meantime, you and I will be using those weeks to perform inspections and negotiating repairs. There's a lot going on. So we've gone backwards from the end of December to the middle of November. And because of the holidays, we built in just a little bit more cushion. So let's give that an extra week. That has us needing to be under contract by the end of the second week in November. That's under contract. But we haven't covered the part where you need to start looking for a house. Obviously, there are going to be the people who are ready to go and they like the very first house they see. But in my experience, that's not very many people. Some people will look for years and some people only for a few days. But in 2021, according to the National Association of Realtors, the typical buyer took about 8 weeks, that's 2 months, to find the perfect home. And before that, the typical buyer took more like 12 weeks or 3 months. Yeah. We can likely attribute the lack of inventory. We don't have a lot of houses on the market right now to choose from, but we do have a lot of buyers, as the calls for buyers making their decisions more quickly. But that lack of inventory can also make it take a little bit longer if you're very specific in what you need. So you need to take that into consideration. So if we look at that timeline, if you want to move by the end of December, we need to start looking for a house somewhere around September, and maybe even earlier if you're really picky, or if you're looking for a property that may be in high demand, like those that are in a lower price point. But what do you do if you find the house that first week and it's too early? Well, we have a lot of workarounds for that. You can always negotiate a longer closing date, or allow the seller to rent the house back from you for a month or so if they need time to get themselves organized. These are all negotiable. And oftentimes, your first month's mortgage isn't due until the first of the month, a full month after closing. So, say if you close on November 28th, you likely wouldn't owe a mortgage payment until January 1st. So you wouldn't have 2 payments during that time. And who knows, you might really appreciate being able to move slowly over to the new house. You never know. Okay, that's it. That's how long it takes to look for a house and get funding for a house and close on a house. During the best of times with the lender that can kill it, and I have some good names of those, and you being able to choose a house quickly, you may be able to do it in as little as 3 weeks. But if you're pickier and your loan may take a little bit longer and you throw some holidays in there, you can expect it to be closer to 10 to 12 weeks or more. A lot of it depends on you and how quickly you identify the one. Hopefully that was helpful. If you'd like some information about this super fun process, just comment buyer below and I'll get some information right over to you. Have a great day.